Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Salenti, and it's Thursday, July 28th, 2022. And here are some of today's trends in the news. Remember, the trend is your friend, and we're the only ones who tell you what in the world is going on, what it means, what's next, and what you might want to do. But you know, the bottom line of the Trends Journal is think for yourself. We don't tell you what to do, but they tell you what to do. The media is a joke. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. William J. Casey, CIA director under Ronald Reagan, 1981. All right? Nothing's changed. They control it. They own it. U.S. equities rallied today. Second straight day in a row. Yep. Yesterday, they rallied when the Fed raised interest rates 75 basis points. They should have gone down. Today, they rallied with the good news that we're officially in recession, and now they're changing the bullshit. Well, it's not official. It's only 2 consecutive quarters. We only teach you that, but we'll change it. You know, again, get this in your head. The whole media is controlled by the military-industrial complex and the banksters, high tech, and the drug dealers. They don't want us to know how bad things are. It's 2 quarters of decline. And, you ready? They had estimated that the decline of the GDP wouldn't be what it was. The Dow Jones estimate for the GDP number, not a decline, was going to gain 0.3%. You see where this thing is going? It fell 0.9%. The first quarter was down 1.6%. We're in dragflation. Inflation's at 9.6% or 9.1%. We're in dragflation. The economy's dragging down. And inflation's going up. We're the only ones saying that. And maybe the gay community won't like drag. Take it easy, right? Not that kind of dragflation. I might be blackballed. Oh, I can't say blackballed anymore. Can't say gay anymore. I'm not happy. No. You see what the hell's going on? It's everything is being distorted. So now, with the elections coming up, they're going to keep lowering interest rates. The economy is going to go down, but before the elections in 2024, and even before the midterm elections, they're going to start lowering interest rates. They're going to raise them a bit and then lower them for the elections. They do it all the time. Sprint Airlines rose 5.6% following the announcement that it has agreed to be acquired by JetBlue. Great, the bigs keep getting bigger. When I was a young guy, before that low-life piece of scum who gave us the Mujahideen to beat the Russians in Afghanistan so America could go into Afghanistan for 20 years, Jimmy Carter, he deregulated the airline industry. There were like 150 airlines when I was a young guy. Flying was fun. Now it's a disgrace. What else do we got here? Gold, up 1%. Why? Well, because they're going to keep the cheap money flowing. That's it. Inflation's going to keep going. That's the bet. So, Fed lifts rates by 0.75% again. But yesterday, the Dow went up 2.6%. A joke. The whole thing is rigged. Again, read your last trend alert that went out on Tuesday about JP Morgan banksters and what's happened to this country. It's officially rigged. Officially. So, the same person, again, the banksters are controlling the country, that played the Fed head, Janet Yellen, that's now our Treasury Secretary. Oh, these numbers don't mean anything, she said today. This is the clown that said there was no inflation. We wrote about it in detail, well over about a year and a half ago. No inflation, no inflation, no inflation. And now she says, no, there's no real recession. No. They're doing this. This is pro-Biden stuff. Peter Schiff made it clear. He said if Trump was in here, boy, the media would go. And again, I'm no fan of Trump. Everybody knows that. You know, he did to Soleimani, killing the Iranian. He did to Venezuela, giving the tax breaks to the 1%, got 82% of them. Didn't fix the infrastructure. You know, so I'm no fan of his. But he's right. Schiff is right. If Trump was in, oh, this terrible, terrible economic news. But the prostitutes all belong to the Democrats. So, Janet Yellen said, there's a reason that there's just too many areas of the economy that are performing too well. And she said that she did not believe the U.S. was in a recession. So screw the numbers, shove them, they're not real. Yellen got it wrong before, but she's right this time, so swallow the crap. Be a good American. Be a good American. Swallow the bullshit. Eat crappy food. Drink shit and swallow shit. You love arrogant Gavin Newsom, an arrogant little daddy's boy. Oh, he's going to be the next guy they're going to put up for the Democratic champion to run for president. Swallow his shit. He did a lovely job in California, locking the place down, while arrogance is eating at the French Laundry at $400 a dinner plate. You got it? Oh, demand picks up for big ticket items. Story in today's Wall Street Journal. And then you read it. This is what you do in trend forecasting. You got to read the whole article. Demand picks up. Orders for long-lasting goods rose last month. Wow. And wait, I thought we were going into a recession. Then you keep reading. Number one, they rose 1.9%. Number one, they didn't account for inflation with the numbers. What's inflation? 9.1%? And they say it went up 1.9%? Who the fuck are you talking to? Oh, we're talking to the American public, Salenti. Swallow the shit and remember, don't get angry. Don't get angry. Don't fight like a man. Be a little nobody like the rest of the world. Number two, excluding defense orders, they were only up 0.4%. Got it? They're not up. Defense orders, though, they're up. Who's the guy running our Defense Department? Lloyd Austin. Came directly from Raytheon's board of directors. Only the number 2 defense contractor. And boy, a man that loves war cannot promote it enough. We gave his quotes. Qualcomm sees drop in demand. Chip supplier expects handset shipments will fall by roughly 5%. No, there's no recession. No. And then you got hot Zoom towns. This is an article from the Wall Street Journal. Cooling down, showing the sharp declines that are happening as mortgage rates go up. Pending home sales, it just fell 20% in June versus a year earlier. There's no recession. Don't worry about it. Swallow the bullshit. Maybe I should start a new channel, call it the Bullshit Channel. People will love it. I got it. Comedian news. Listen to shit. Okay. This is from CNBC. One chart shows how the number of Americans can't afford rent has spiked this year. Now, Don't worry about it. Lufthansa canceled flights and then big work stoppage. No news to Trends Journal subscribers. What was one of our top trends of 2021? Unionization happening all over the world. Protests happening all over the world. But don't, everything's going to be fine. Calm down. Oh, Bangladesh seeks IMF for help. What's in your Trends Journal? You mean the International Mafia Federation? Oh, no, that got to be proper, not the Mafia Federation. By the way, they want help? You borrow money from the IMF? You got to raise your interest rates 1% above inflation. 1% above inflation when you borrow money from the IMF. So they bullshitted us that when the inflation rate hits 2%, we're going to raise inflation, which they didn't because they lied. They said it wasn't here. So now our real interest rate should be 10.1% when you account for inflation. Mentioning what's going on in Bangladesh because we do in the Trends Journal each week, we're showing what's going on in the emerging markets. And they're going down too because Bangladesh, they supply a lot of clothing, cheap labor. And their businesses are closing down because business is down. But there's no recession. Don't worry about it. Janet Yellen said, so she's been wrong before, Yellen shit. Yeah, Janet Yellen shit. Maybe she married shit and it's just Janet Yellen shit. Because that's all she does is put out shit. But hey, she's out there. She can speak and everyone has to listen to her. But not Celente. No. We don't like him. He won't take bullshit. The IMF, I'm mentioning this, the emerging markets, because when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. You're going to see protests, revolutions, civil wars, regional wars, world wars begun. This thing's going to escalate. You think you have refugee problems? Poof. Nobody talks about this, but you do in the Trends Journal, you get the facts. Listen, subscribe to the Trends Journal. The more people we have, the more we can do. We're giving you every ounce of our energy, and you know it. It's trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. The only place to read history before it happens. And the counter-Chinese Senate approves bill on industrial policy. This is great. It's like about a couple of 100,000, like 258,000 billion, $billion. Then you read the whole article. The effort has marked a foray into industrial policy that has had little precedent in recent American history, raising myriad questions about how the Biden administration and Congress would implement and oversee a major initiative involving hundreds of billions of taxpayer money going to the club. This is not capitalism. It's fascism. It's the merger of state and corporate powers. And then you read this article, not a word about, oh, we're bringing back production of chips and this and that to America. We got to beat China. Hey, scumbags who wrote the article, how come you didn't talk about NAFTA when we sent our jobs to Mexico for cheap labor under slimeball Clinton and another arrogant little daddy's boy, Al Gore? Yeah. How about Clinton bringing China into the World Trade Organization and becoming official 2 weeks after 9/11 when nobody knew it? And they sent all our production over there for cheap labor. You look at China's GDP level from 1970 to 1990 to 2000, it goes straight up when they came in. Then they steal our money and give it to the people that caused the problem. Isn't it great in America? Don't get angry, Celente. We tune you out. My children don't like it. My wife don't like it. And I'm a ballless little prick. I won't fight. Oh, no. If you would only calm down and be like Obama, folks. SD announces plans to close its San Francisco office. Oh, yeah? Not only them, just mentioning it, go back to your Trends Journal. What's going to happen to the office real estate markets? You got it. You got it. He who is not angry when there is just cause for anger is immoral. Why? because anger looks to the good of justice. And that's what I look to. Justice. Freedom, peace, and justice. And if you could live amid injustice without anger, you are immoral as well as unjust. Well, who said that? St. Thomas Aquinas? You should have put she in there too. You're being sexist, Mr. St. Aquinas. You said he who is not angry. They who are not angry. U.S. allies dig in for long economic standoff. Isn't that great? U.S. allies. Why the hell are we allies with Ukraine? This has been going on between Russia and Ukraine since Catherine the Great. They want to take down a statue that came from the 1750s. And we're at war with them? It's not my war. I'm an American. Again, watch our Freedom, Peace, and Justice rally. And you see it. I'm reading George Washington. No foreign entanglements. Warning us, particularly Europe. They've been going at it back and forth. He said there are complexities. We don't get involved in it. We have seen 27 different European governments adopt very ambitious sets of sanctions. European Commissioner Ursula von der Leyen told the Wall Street Journal. Great. All the sanctions are hurting the people. But blame it on Russia because that's all they do. Here we go. Europe's energy prices surge on cuts. Russia followed through on its promises to slash natural gas flows to Europe. Wednesday's cut sent European gas prices up as much as 14%. Gas prices are more than 5 times as high as they were a year ago. And why? Russia, payback's a bitch. You put the sanctions on Russia. They said, you got to pay for the oil in rubles. We're not going to do it. Okay. No, we're going to pay for it in dollars. I don't want your dollars. I want my ruble. But they're blaming it all on Russia when they did it. And again, I'm entirely against Russia's invasion. Make it 100% clear. I launched Occupy Peace. I understand why they did it. Wrote about it in the Trends Journal. You've seen the magazine. 2014, how the United States overthrew the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych. How they were killing all the people in the Donbass region. How NATO wasn't supposed to move 1 inch further. I understand it, against it, what happened. And I'm against the invasion. But these are problems caused by NATO and the United States, and we're paying for it. Yeah. Big story. As soon as you open up the New York Times. Choice for vocal critics of Putin's immigration. Choice for vocal critics of Putin. Immigration or prison? How come the New York Times doesn't do whole page stories about showing America's war crimes? Assange goes to prison. America's war crimes are just fine. It's just those Russians that are no good. Nobody has a bigger war crime record than America since the end of World War II. Nobody. Not even close. At least 15 die in anti-UN protest in Congo. Who gives a shit? Nobody cares about that. Congo, you mean the Congo that the Americans overthrew, the government way back in the 1950s or 60s around there, and destroyed the place? That Congo? Oh, yeah, but hey, we did it for freedom and democracy. This is a story in the New York Times that wants to make you puke by Eric Schmidt. U.S. military coordinates, ready? A sort of wedding registry for arms to Ukraine. Wedding registry? Choreographing the sequence was a job of dozen military logistics. Choreographing? And the cell that does this, think of the cell as a cross between a wedding registry for bombs, bullets, and rockets, artillery, and a military version of FedEx. Look at the way they sell propaganda. This is disgusting. This is horrific. Horrific. In nearly 5 months, the center has moved more than 78,000 tons of arms, munitions, and equipment to the Ukraine military. If this weaponry was not coming from NATO and America, this war would long be over. Houses, businesses, lives wouldn't be killed and destroyed. They would have had made a deal with Russia. They're going to have to make one anyway. But yet, when you ask the guy that's running the show, Admiral Hines, Biden administration has approved. Here, listen to this. The Coordination Center typically works on shipments 2 months out. Admiral Hines said, in addition to the weapons and ammunition, the Pentagon announced last week the 16th round of Biden administration's has approved. It's the 16th time they've approved it since August 2021. You mean you've been sending weapons since August 2021 and the war began in February 24th of 2022? And said that 2 more shipments, number 17 and 18, were in the pipeline. For now, senior official pieces of shit, say the allies are standing firm behind Ukraine's fight. Quote, you ready for this, all Americans? The goal is for Ukraine to win the right to defend the sovereignty of their country and to regain their ground. So we're in this fight for this. Ready? This is this guy, Admiral Hines, of the 57 varieties. I can't define what winning looks like for the Ukrainians. Oh, you can't? Then what are you talking about then? What do you mean you can't define what winning is? If I'm playing baseball, the numbers are easy. I'm playing basketball, the numbers are easy. What do you mean you can't define a win? And you're sending all these weapons? You ready? He added that it was up to President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people to decide. The United States and our allies are partners, and partners are in it until he tells us he doesn't need us anymore. Oh, until Zelensky says it. Oh, well, yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Zelensky. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was just a plantation worker on slave land here. You keep taking my money from me. I'm a nobody. When Zelensky tells us, don't we listen? Could you see what's going on over here? Where is the anger? No coverage of all the media of our freedom, peace, and justice rally. Nothing. Because they hate peace. Prostitutes hate peace. You're media whores who love wars. And you're in it, Schmidt. Yeah, ready? Russia-Ukraine updates. Kiev counterforce gathering momentum. Wow. Who says this? UK intelligence. Hey, I got a bridge in Brooklyn. You want to buy it? I got a good price for it. Look at the propaganda they put out. We got a lot here. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to end on this one. There'll be more in your Trends Journal. We got a lot. Ruling clears way to evict 1,200 Palestinians. Screw the Palestinians. Get them out of there. Yep. To the Israel Armed Forces, they're talking about this area they're going into. However, the hamlet in the southern tip of occupied West Bank is something entirely different from this guy who's been there for 46 years. It's part of a firing zone. 918, some 3,000 hectares of land. This guy was a farmer over there. They have sought for decades to turn into a military training area. In May, after a 20-year legal battle, Israel's top court granted the military its wish. Its ruling, issued late on the eve of a public holiday, the Supreme Court gave the armed forces the green light to use the area, which includes 8 Palestinian villages and a firing zone, and the eviction of over 1,200 people. The ruling paves the way for what is the biggest eviction in decades. This is against international law. It's occupied territory. The Israelis have been there since 1967. Human Rights Watch and others have called Israel for their actions an apartheid state. And don't call me an anti-Semite. Matter of fact, one of my former Jewish girlfriends gave me this shirt. Wall Street Journal. Pro-Israel groups wade into Democratic primaries to defeat progressives critical of Israel. Hey, what if Iran was bringing in people to be pro-Iranian? Oh, that'd be terrible. We only have to be, it's not my country. And again, totally opposed to it. Stolen. Balfour Agreement, read all about it. Morally bankrupt outrage after pro-Israeli groups back insurrectional Republicans. This was from The Guardian back in March. The most powerful pro-Israel lobby has been accused of putting support for Israel before American democracy after it declared its backing for election campaigns to 36 Republican members. So they're going to the Democrats and the Republicans, members of Congress, but the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, has defended the move, saying that support for Jewish state overrides other issues. Fine. We're not Americans. Jewish state's our only thing we're concerned with. You ready? AIPAC launched a political action committee that enables it for the first time to spend money directly supporting congressional candidates in this year's midterm elections. 120 political endorsements. Richard Haas, the president of the Council of Foreign Relations, described the endorsement as, quote, undermines democracy and morally bankrupt and short-sighted. Quote, what ties the two countries is a commitment to democracy, he tweeted. Oh, commitment to democracy? Stealing all that land from the Palestinians? I don't call that democracy. Again, one thing after another, I want to make this clear. I told you about the guy playing our defense secretary. Again, we have a lot more being your Trends Journal, who is the guy playing our defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, came from the board of directors of Raytheon. Top regulator to take job with cigarette maker. The Food and Drug Administration's official with considerable power over authorizing decisions for e-cigarettes and products aimed at curbing smoking, resigned on Tuesday to work for Philip Morris. Get it in your head. It's a crime syndicate, and we pay for it with our money and our lives. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, we did Celente and the Judge yesterday. You got to check it out. This is a heavy-duty one. What we're putting out today, and do what you can to support us. Do nothing, go under. Do something, rise to higher levels. And the two things you could do right now, occupypeace.com, donate what you can, and subscribe to the Trends Journal. We're giving you what nobody else is giving you. Trendsjournal.com. We're giving you history before it happens. Thank you. From COVID war to Ukraine war to world war, are you prepared for